Hello everybody and welcome back to Forever and Ever the Killie Fans podcast, season number 4, episode number 39. We're coming to you live from Limelight Studios in Irvine. My name is Paul Montgomery and I'm joined across the table by my co-host and co-conspirator. That's my new thing, I say. It's Callum Michael Scott. Alright, son?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm very, very well, mate, and huge thanks to you for getting us home safely for Easter Road on Saturday in one of the most treacherous driving conditions I can remember ever seeing.
And only 50% of that was my own decision making on the road, if I'm right.
You kept your cool and you got us all safely home, and that's all that counts.
Despite David Fowles' best efforts distracting us, man.
Aye, well, there was a fallout between the sat-nav and Foldsy, I think, rather than you. You were just the go-between, you were the tennis net.
I know, but I still don't think Foldsy quite comprehended that I was actually using a sat-nav. It seemed to go over his head quite a lot. But
anyway, it was one of the better bits of the day, which we'll get into. We'll obviously talk about Hibs away. I didn't like it. We'll talk about Dundee this weekend, the final game before the split. We'll do All Roads Lead to Killie. We've got your questions on the forums and in the X and just everything else really in between.
Although you didn't like Hibs away, I would really like your t-shirt.
My t-shirt, it's the Bada Bing, made famous in The Sopranos, purchased by Connor Doran's PT.
See, he must have bought a couple at the same time.
You think he just gets stock t-shirts that he gives it to his favourite clients?
Aye, because he gave me one as well. So next week, well, we should agree one week and we'll both
wear them. Aye, right, okay.
And then I've got another couple of Sopranos themed t-shirts as well, which are pretty cool. That'll maybe, I don't know, model on here at some point.
Air them on the show. Good, mate, good. But aye, how's things otherwise, man? How's your Monday been?
Had a very good Easter weekend.
Good, mate, good.
Aye, pretty good, to be fair, man. Watched The Passion on Friday.
Right. How was it? As good as you remembered?
I watch it every year, man, genuinely. So watched that on Friday. Saturday, obviously, I was away, disappointing. Sunday, we had a really, really nice family dinner, and the day we were on at my mum's, even Matthew came down. So
lovely.
Nice to see you every day.
Happy days, man.
What about you?
So was it on Good Friday with my son?
Yeah, you've got definitely a different Good Friday tradition than what I do.
Great Friday we call it. Me and Taylor we go out for a few beers. We done it last year. Just kind of, we were up getting his prom suit actually in Glasgow last year, and then I was like, we'll try and get a pint. Somebody was only 17 at the time, but managed to do that through a kind of combination of him sort of acting his age and then also having a fake ID, which helped. So him and I went out in Glasgow. Brilliant day. Then on Saturday, Hibs away, started nice and early in the pot still. The aforementioned David Fowles at Squire. Met the Niv on the train.
Oh, did the Niv meet you on the line in the way off? Aye.
And then we had a really nice time pre-match and then sat down in our seats just in time for Hibs to score the first goal. But we'll get into that in a second. Taylor's away to Portugal. Today, he's been sending us the photographs. Him and his girlfriend are away for his first time abroad, so I'm a wee bit nervous.
Well, I was going to say, is there a kind of, I don't know, like a changing of the guard there almost?
Changing of the guard, good way of putting it, man. So he was away beautifully, and I just learned this. My beautiful wife was up making my dad his Easter Monday dinner.
Because Taylor's not there today.
Because Taylor's not there today, that's their wee tradition. So Mel was very kind on that. And when she came back, she told me that my dad and his significant other, Carol, went down to wave Taylor's plane away.
Aww.
It pressed me.
That's sweet, man.
I know,
that's
so
too
cute,
sweet, man.
So they went down and done that, mate, and then went for the lunch in Prestwick.
Ah, how good's that, man?
Nice, mate.
How good's that? And I'm forgetting, obviously, I saw you on Friday night as well, didn't I? Briefly.
Very briefly, you were in Exotic Kitchen.
Pints of Sapporo on
Sapporo, phenomenal. I did my fair share of pints on Friday, it's fair to say.
I'll tell you why then, I watched The Passion on Thursday night. Because I was out on Friday.
Of course.
It was supposed to be Friday and then I forgot.
But it was a good fun. Met two friends of yours, Jambo and Lewis.
Yes.
On the train. It was nice to meet with them properly.
Two good characters.
Two good men. But it's been a great weekend. A lovely day yesterday as well with the family. We had a nice brunch. Then me and Mel watched a film in the afternoon, Twins. You ever seen it?
No.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
Oh, was this not brought up in the pod the other week?
Was that? Film for the 80s? Maybe it was.
There was that's been in my scope at some point in the last few weeks, and somebody they're like, again, evidently we've been Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, but either complete opposites.
Complete polar opposites, a bit like you and me.
I'm sure it did get brought in the pod.
It did. But yeah, we did a great day. So that's us, man. Right, and back to normal service. Speaking of normal service, Hibs away, another defeat on the road, 3-0. comfortably beaten, mate, unfortunately. Despite bumping into loads of people and getting some good chat after them. Another atrocious away result and performance. Let's get into it, man. We were both there. What's your thoughts?
Bitterly disappointed. Although in here, I would never back Kilmarnock to get beat. I genuinely had a good feeling about it.
So
I think it's about time that we're due to go up there and get a result. Obviously not done that since Boydie scored up there in 2014. Some of that is skewed with the relegations for Hibs and us spending a year at the top fight as well, but it was about time that run was due to come to an end, and especially with the crowd coming out the way things are going, but it's just the worst possible start again. It almost goes without saying, but you're just like, you don't even give the fans enough time to get into it. And I mean, where I was in the main stand, even when the players were warming up, the fans were brilliant, and as they went down the tunnel, kind of like the fans were properly singing in the ground as well, which you rarely see pre-match. Something like that, they're right up for it, and then you just don't even get yourself, kind of give yourself a chance when you start the game like that. And I just really feel for all the fans that they made the journey again and go behind them as they've been doing. And well, again, we'll come on to the away form separately, I think, but it's a huge concern.
Aye, it's absolutely shocking, man, and we'll talk about that. But as for Saturday, I mean, we had just got into the ground. There was obviously a minute's applause. Sat down in my seats at 2 minutes past 3, and before we'd uttered a word, we were doing 1-0. Which can happen in a game. Like, it can happen. It shouldn't happen, not that early, but it can happen. My big concern wasn't so much that goal. It was the 15 minutes after it, when Hibs cut us open a couple of times, ended up scoring again. The game's then by, mate. Like, I know we've cut us scores, but we could see for we were that Lions was practically on the touchline. It was going to be an offside call. It's just so disappointing. And like you say, you've got such a big crowd up there. You'd not even get the chance to enjoy it because you're doing 2-0 and it's the game's away for you. They're just nice sign that we would have come back for that. We never really created very much. I know we had a lot more of the ball and we did settle down. I said that to Falsey during the game. I was just get to half time at 2-0, so it's no 4-0. And so you're kind of in the game until the end, and we kind of did that, I suppose, but we didn't threaten really. And it's just such a huge concern, and I know there are questions about the defensive record and the away record, but it's probably going to cost us, mate. This horrific defending and this away record that's now yielded something like, is it 7 wins in 3 years or something in the league, something like that?
We'd need to go back and properly check it all, but it will not be far off that. I mean, you can basically rhyme them off the new, where you think that in that first season back up, we won 2 away games. It was St Mirren, Dundee United. This second season where we ended up finishing 4th, I mean, we still only won. What did we win? It's St Mirren,
St Johnstone,
and somewhere else.
It was 3 or 4, wasn't it?
Aye, but we picked up a lot more points in
Aye, that's right.
And then last year was the same. The away record, we almost looked like we'd put it to bed when we were up 2-0 at Dens last year.
That's right.
And we're going on there and you're thinking, right, this has already equalled it, and then we capitulated, and the same thing happened, and then we had to wait until we won at St Johnstone again. That effectively almost kept us up that day for sure.
Aye, that was the April kind of time, wasn't it?
Aye. And then again this year, you're thinking, all right, you go and you pick up a couple of points on the road, and then you win at Tannadice, and thinking, right, we can maybe put this behind us, and we're in the same position. And I suppose since McCann's come in, we'll come on to the actual defensive frailties, but there has been a couple of decent fight backs with the Tannadice and at Levy in the first game. But I mean, let's not be kidded. That's like, I mean, the Falkirk. The only thing that I can take as some form of positive for Saturday, despite the game, and it's, for me, it's easy to play when you're doing 2-0.
Aye, we've said that a lot over the years, haven't we?
And we have, and I think that is a hell of a lot easier to do that, because the game is effectively back. It shouldn't be, because we've seen ourselves, we've chucked 2 goals lead, 1 goal you're right back in it completely, the pendulum swings, but I think that the only saving grace is that there perhaps has been lessons learned for Falkirk. For me, I was like, this is mirroring Falkirk, particularly that first 25 minutes, but we did settle against a better team, and again, we had more of the ball, but as you said, there wasn't enough quality and we didn't really threaten. But I suppose the only saving grace is when you're doing 1-0 after 13 seconds, then you're doing 2-0 after 12 minutes, you're like, well, this should be 4-5 minimum, and at least we kind of settled into the game for there. But at the end of the day, it's no good enough, and again, just bitterly disappointing for the 850, 900 Killie fans that sold at their allocation.
Any players that get pass marks for you on Saturday?
I thought, if anything, again, it seems to be the buzzword now, but I thought at least Curtis, he just, like, when I'm scoring the goal, but before that, I saw him that makes the chance even with the goal, with driving towards.
He had a great touch, a big long ball comes in and he puts it down brilliantly. It was a great touch.
He's got so much of that in him, and there was even a few second half where you could see, and I think he gave the Hibs right wing back, he kind of ran him ragged a couple of times, and for me, if anybody deserves any kind of so-called praise, it would be, I thought it would be Curtis. And again, he's just one of them where you can tell that he's a level above what we've got. He's definitely our most creative player, and I thought, if anything, he's the one that deserves any form of praise. What about you?
Aye, same for me. I thought Hugo made a couple of good runs in the first half. I don't know if it was just bits of the game I was noticing or whatever, but again, I think you flagged that up really, really early actually, that how good he was at, and like off the ball. So I thought he done well, but other than that, it's like the game's done, man. It's much of a muchness. You're not creating very much, you're not putting Hibs under any great pressure, and there's never that wave coming where you think, right, we're going to get back into this. It never happened, and it's just getting depressing watching that team away from home, and it's like I say, it's ultimately going to cost us, I think, because we're now at the point now, 27 points with 6 games to go. 4 of them away from home, possibly.
I think it'll be 3 home, 3 away.
3 and 3, but including obviously, so it'll be after the split, 2 at home, 3 away. So see you win your 3 home games, right? Stakes you to 36. Probably no enough, maybe just about. Whatever happens now, there needs to be a big result away from home.
We spoke about this on Saturday, and you're so right.
It's going to need to happen. We're going to need a big result, a coupon buster, go to Aberdeen and win. Something like that is going to happen, or we're going to finish 11th. And again, I think you're right, and it's important to emphasise that, particularly with a big game coming on Saturday. I don't want to be too negative. So obviously they bring a ticket for free with a season ticket.
I was going to say, it'd be good to talk that up.
Aye, so there's a great opportunity to fill the stands to a point. But ultimately, yes, there are green shoots in this team. We're better than we were. We've picked up a lot more points, particularly at home. But you can't go the full season without winning at home and go that 18 games, whatever it was, without winning. And expect to be anything other than in the relegation battle. And we said this weeks ago, we're going to run out of games here possibly, and that's my real worry now.
I think that's it, and I'm not sure whether there's been a question in the forums, and I completely agree with it. And I think along with that, I mean, the thing that's absolutely killed us was the 18 games without a win. It's like, shouldn't happen at any level of football. Livingston are still on that wave in Mayor, but it's even when you look at those games, it went on far too long with Kettlewell anyway, but even those 3-4 games over that festive period, had you get McCann and Eller, I don't doubt, I'm not saying that you go and win the 4 games and everyone's rosy the new, but you're picking up an extra couple of points, and at this moment in time, that's enough for us to go at the bottom 2, and I think that's what's got to cost us. Aye,
you either pick up the points then, or the process has begun earlier, and you end up maybe getting an extra 2 or 3 for other games that we've lost. Maybe you draw it up at Falkirk because you're that wee bit further down the line, that mistake's already been made. Aye, so we're paying the price for the decision made in the summer to recruit a manager who could potentially relegate 2 teams this year, ensure Kettlewell. We're paying the price for no going and buying a good centre half, or getting a good centre half into the club in January.
That was huge, aye.
We're the worst defensive team in Scotland, as in Livingston have both conceded 63 goals. I don't know how you fix that now with the players in the building, other than maybe Mayo coming back in. I don't know, but who do you move about? And as I text you earlier on, we've brought in Kellerus, who had 2 clean sheets and has done alright, but he's now conceded 26 goals in 11 games, which translate to a full season of 38 games would mean he would have conceded 90 goals, right? Goalie's no good enough, and you've got a better goalie sitting on the bench. I know there's mitigating circumstances there with that guy's health, which is obviously far more important, but I don't understand it. When you're in a crisis situation in terms of the football club, there's a better goalkeeper there. The defenders aren't good enough. I know there's been quite a lot of chat about the midfield, but I think the midfield, there's an excuse because you've got David Watson as a midfielder who's the under-21s captain, right? Everybody's loves David Watson. He's half the boil. Brad Lyons is an international football player. Again, no somebody I massively rate, to be honest. Thought he was quite poor again on Saturday. But going into the season with a guy like that, you're thinking, right, Premier League player, plays internationally. Paul Worth, again, splits opinion. But obviously as a Premier League player, he's played in the Premier League for most of his career. You've brought Tish back, who's been part of your most successful era recently and went abroad and played. Good player. Then you've got guys like Curtis, who's an attacking midfielder. Very good. So I think the midfield, although players on a playing wheel, isn't the huge problem. And again, forwards, John Giles has scored goals, Hugo looks busy, Daniel's looked alright, Dakar's contributed a bit earlier on in the season, you've got Anderson there. I think there's enough. The problem's the defence, which wasn't strengthened in the summer, and we're now stuck with to the end of the season. My suggestion is change the goalkeeper, maybe try and bring Mayo back in. But away from him, I just don't know what the answer is, man. I don't. Who do you even think? Why do we concede so many goals away from him?
I don't think MD knows the answer to it, but I think that the folk will disagree with this. But the glaring thing for me is we're not doing enough to pour cold water on the Astro here, like, because I think that I mean, what are the other circumstances? What are the other factors that are at play there? The big thing is the pitch. I mean, there was a period when Steve Clark was a manager, we had the best away record in the league at one point. But I think that when you in our home record before Clark came in was actually appalling as well. He had to turn that around. And Derek McInnes then had to turn our home record around when he took the job in the Championship. But other than what else is there to compare it to? There must be a psychological factor as well. But the big thing for MDL slotting away is evidently the pitch. I'm not saying I completely agree with that, but I'm asking for somebody to come up with a better.
It seems too obvious, doesn't it now?
That's the only thing that you can really put at the door. That's the only thing that's massively different.
Aye.
And we're not doing ourselves any favours with that, because the away record is utterly pathetic, and it has been for now 4-5 years. And I know that Martin put out a tweet about our away form, and I think he's maybe put it in the questions, but I'm just like, it's just frankly no good enough. But then we won in Tromso, didn't we?
Aye,
things like that, it's bizarre.
I know it is bizarre, but ultimately that's my worry now. We're coming to the crunch, and half our games are away from home, and you're probably having to write them off. And it's like,
that's how it feels like the first season, which it isn't. But first season back up, which isn't. But nobody wants to.
No, and loads of things have went wrong, and I suppose we're thankful because we're still in the hunt, because they looked at one point that we would maybe be finished where Livingston are going to finish. So we have done better specifically at home, but it is a big concern, and Saturday it fell flat very quickly.
I think that the biggest takeaway for this messaging for us, and I completely agree with you, is that for us to avoid 11th place, we need that huge result. Where that's got to be, when it will come, who knows, but either way we'll have to go to St Mirren and win, or we'll have to go to Aberdeen and win and pick up maximum points for home games if you're going to finish out this bottom two. And that's no throwing the towel in. I still believe that if we do finish 11th, that I think that we'll have enough over 2 legs, but nobody wants to go through that.
No, I can't even blow up with the pressure of that. Plus the second leg's a Monday night. I thought the SPFL might move that for the poddy.
We should discuss about that.
Put an appeal in. Wasn't it important?
Well, no, we need to think about our rain cells here. Maybe there's scope for
a live watch along.
Could you imagine that for that Dundee game, man?
Oh God,
that was appalling.
It was not very good.
The first one was actually the worst for me. That's one of the angles.
You left, didn't you?
I left, and then my father phoned me, say, "Aye, come back, we've scored." I goes, "I don't care." I goes, "We're done, there's no way." And then get into it, I was a bit like, "Ken, what all we need to do is win at home, and that takes it to extra time at least." And then you put out your misery within 12 minutes again. Saturday, and you're just like, that's it now, innit?
Aye. So we don't want to repeat of that. So before we jump into your questions and stuff, and we'll get one message for Nick Davis. Big game on Saturday, right? Huge game. It's been circled as a huge game for weeks and months. Dundee, I went on a really decent run of form. They've kind of faltered a wee bit again. They're still within striking distance. We go and beat them on Saturday. They're back in it. They're on 32 points. We're right behind them. Psychologically, I'm a wee bit like scunnered because I hoped that we could be out of it. We can't get out of 11th before the split now because of the way the goal difference is sitting. But you've got to go and win on Saturday. In my opinion, nothing else is acceptable. You need to win. The good thing is our home record is good. We're definitely capable of beating Dundee, and this opportunity to fill the stands. So for those of you who don't know, if you're a season ticket holder, jump onto your emails. You'll get an email you can link to get a free ticket, basically, to bring somebody along. So I'm hoping that we're maybe getting 6,500 home fans in that, and it does make a big difference. We spoke about that.
I think it does. Absolutely does. And Dundee will bring a good support as well. But if we just talk about the home end, it's huge. We said on here a couple of weeks ago when there was a Killie Community Day, which was excellent to see that amount of folk there. But the difference it makes to the overall atmosphere, and that's genuinely night and day. If you can get 5,500, 6,000 home fans in Rugby Park, it's excellent. And I think that the club should be commended for this now, because we've called for it before and it has been now, at least there's no there's no issues with it. Beforehand there was a case of, you can bring somebody but you can only use it for one of these games, but you can use it whereas it's a case of, it's the Dundee game and bring somebody, and it's as simple as that. And I think that everybody's just got to do their bit and bring somebody along, because it genuinely will make a difference. There's no doubt about that. And if you can get that and 6,000 Killie fans at least getting behind them on Saturday, well, I think we're walking away with 3 points.
Aye, it feels like a huge day. It does. To me, it should be bummed up to be a cup final vibe, because I do honestly believe, and I'll say it now, there's just no way we go and win the 5 games after the split, right? If you need to go into it winning 3 of them, winning 4, like, I just can't see this team doing it. So I think Saturday's absolutely huge. I don't think a draw is particularly good enough. But I think a win, and you get that momentum back, and you're back within striking distance. It means that on the first day of the split, you can get yourself up to 10th, get yourself pushing 9th, whatever. And that just changes the whole dynamic of the following games. So I'd just echo what Carl said there. If you're able to get along and bring somebody with you, because not only does that create an atmosphere inside the Grun, which helps, well, think about the flip side of that. How the optics say us offering free tickets and there's no much an uptake, what that would feel like in the Grun. So it's incumbent upon us as supporters to just make sure we're dragging somebody along to be in that stadium, and hopefully the team can back that up with a performance.
To go back on to what you said with regards to Dundee, I'm not going to lie, I've been really bad at looking too far ahead. I'm very much, as we keep getting reminded about the Aberdeen patter, but again, I didn't even think that Dundee were as close to us as they were. But again, it's still but then come Saturday, they could be 7 points.
They're out of sight. I think they're 5 now.
So that's exactly what it comes down to. What a opportunity it is to reel them back in, and then it does become a 4-way fight, and it's just gone all the way to the wire. I said at the weekend that it was undoubtedly a 3-way fight now, which goes without saying, given Aberdeen are right in the thick yet, St Mirren and ourselves. But if we can reel Dundee back in, it's just got to be a chaos down there. And you want everybody else slitting each other's throats, and then you go and take care of your own business. It's as simple as that.
Aye. Okay, everybody, so get along on Saturday. Got a prediction for us, KC?
2-0 Killie.
2-0 Killie.
Aye. Hugo
back in amongst it.
Think
there'll be any changes?
I think there will be. To go back on, I agree with what you're saying about the goalkeeping situation, but I just think that, again, they've hung their hat on Roos now. The time to change that was coming back after that Falkirk game, and we never did. So, famous last words, I could be saying that, and then Max is back in, which I would love to see, but I just don't think it will happen. But I'm with you that there's maybe an outside chance that the likes of Mayo or that can come back in and maybe trust his experience or whatever at this stage in the season. Other than that, I don't know. What about you?
Again, I'd be inclined to put Mayo in. I'd make a defensive change because we just lose too many goals. I know at home it's been 2 clean sheets in a row, which is better, and generally they've been better at home. But I just think if it comes down to it, Mayo is more experienced and probably a better player than Stanger, so I'd probably bring him back in. Schoening Larson, who I actually quite like. I think he's culpable.
I don't like him, but defensively
On Saturday, there's
there.
issues there. But again, you've got to go and win the game. My issue is Dundee are decent going forward. That boy Yogani that plays on one side, and Congreve. So I'm a wee bit worried about that. In the midfield, I don't know what you think. There's some questions about it. We'll maybe cover it then. But I don't like this going away and getting beat 3-0 and no making changes. It's almost like,
well, I was surprised
roll it
again.
on.
I thought there would have been changes made at half time and so.
Aye, so did I.
Because that was the big glaring thing for me at Falkirk. That I thought, well, after that, I mean, that's as bad a start as I've ever seen for a Killie team, to be honest. And you thought, oh, well, they'll maybe wrap it up at half time than ever. So when similar, even though we did we grew back into the game, but I thought, oh, they'll make changes now, and it was the same again. So
I don't know. But anyway, whoever plays, we just got to get right behind them. It's a massive week, and the first of 3 or 4 massive weeks, because it's going to go down to the wire now, mate. There's just no way we're out of bother, I don't think, before the last week of the season. So it's going to be absolutely massive. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Plenty to talk about.
It will be, plenty to talk about for us. So every cloud in that.
Exactly. Right, okay, everybody. We'll be back in a second to answer all your questions on the KillieFC.com forums and the X. But before then, here's some words from Nick Davis at Allied Surveyors Scotland. Allied Surveyors have been carrying out valuations and home reports across Ayrshire and in Kilmarnock for over 20 years. Company director and lifelong Killie fan Nick Davis is based here at 91 John Finney Street and is here to help you if you've got any questions or queries or are looking to get your home sold. Right, huge thanks to Nick Davis at Allied Surveyors Scotland. You can contact him on 01563 572 341. Nick is a huge Killie fan, been instrumental in the success of the podcast, and a bloody nice fella as well, and cracking on the guitar. A top man indeed, and it's always good to hear from him when I get that wee Insta DM and it's a reply to a story, and that's always of good value. Aye. And speaking of which, did they send you a message about remember we got a question last week about where's the weirdest place that you've met? I don't think so. Don't think I read it. No. I need to share these with you. Really funny. Gonna go and fetch it. Can I read it in air? Oh, one of them, even a really good one. It's brilliant for Nick. I was actually pissing myself reading it. Right, excellent. Right, okay, let's head over to the questions. We've got a couple sent to us via WhatsApp and then over to the usual channels. So the Nev gets in touch, friend at Pod. Another great guy. What a guy. Please convince me why this current squad will not be in the playoffs, a position they've held meekly since falling into it in December. We need 3 home wins in a row to take us to 36, which would be 5 home wins in a row, all in. A total and marker we haven't achieved since under Steve Clarke. Our away form isn't acceptable, and it doesn't seem to matter who the manager or the players are, albeit it doesn't when the manager picks the wrong team, and the setup gives the other team an immediate head start. So whatever manager it is seems to be setting us up. Ranked 36 points was the amount we had the last time we went into the playoff. Something that would make for an interesting similarity. However, personally, I'm not even convinced we'll get that much. So come on, boys, do what you're great at. Rouse the troops, lift the funk, and be a beacon of positivity for us all. So I'll take that apart bit by bit. But firstly, a bit of advice to Pates. If 36 points is, like what we end up on and still end up in the playoffs, hopefully advises Neil McCann not to say what Tommy Wright does, because remember he said at the time, he goes, I always thought that would be enough. Which just doesn't look good anyway. Right? And ordinarily I think it was a kind of higher marker, but I always remember Tommy Wright saying, oh well, we'd already circled that, thought 36 points was enough. That's not the kind of messaging that I want to hear about. It's different if you went finished in 40 points, you finished the playoff, you think, right, Jesus, like that. That should be. That'd make you finish 9th probably. So I think 38 is the highest marker. I think that was maybe Hibs when they ended up going down. Was it? I think so. They were on 38. So 38 generally will keep you up. Aye. So, but I'm really sorry, but honestly, I think we'll finish in the playoffs. Aye. I do believe it. And it's not a case of throwing the towel in. I just think that a lot rides on Saturday. I mean, I need to get back to my messages that I sent you, but I remember working it out. And I think that my predictions aren't far off to what I did at the time. I said I think we would be within a couple of points of Simon, but we would still be in the playoff by the time the split came. But I just think that it's the away form is huge, and we're going to have to go away more than we're at home. And we'll already be we're benefiting out of playing more home games than we should.
and that's us relying on that, because I think Dundee potentially, it's got to be an absolute nightmare for them to try and work out the logistics
up
early these games, because we're the ones that will benefit, because I think most of the teams should be due to play us at home, but they can't have that.
Aye, that's going to be controversial potentially, but we'll see what happens. I think the fixtures will be announced tomorrow, possibly. Right, question for the pod. This is for your friend, Scott Watson.
Yes.
Friend at pod. Stanger has improved in the 2 games of 4 Hibs, but you think it's time to get Mayo back in at centre back, and you think Saturday showed that a midfield 3 of Lyons, Tish and Pollock doesn't work. Which 2 would you play? And also top tier Easter egg. Did you get a Galaxy Easter egg, mate?
No, I actually changed my request. When I saw there was a chocolate orange one.
Ah, right.
So I got that.
Happy with that.
But I kind of had like the...
Scoffed already?
No, I know the egg is, but I've still got the chocolate orange.
Okay.
But it's got that kind of puff candy in it.
Kind of sizzles.
Which I wasn't too keen on, to be honest. I'd rather it was just the standard. But
Old Testament orange.
Old Testament orange.
I got a nice Marks and Spencer's thing for my dad, and it was a bit like that. It, like bits of pretzel through it and all that.
Nice.
It was really good, that. So
nice. Well, I went and
up
spent fucking 12 quid and I lent one for Alison.
Oh, did you? I feel bad. Melanie got the Waynes. I mean, my Waynes are 18 and 20, right? So, but she went and got Faith. She's into like who's that Dubai chocolate thing everybody was
aye,
pistachio stuff, loads of them. And Taylor he got 2 bottles of Mal that are still in the fridge, and some chocolate tea, and my mum got us some wee bits and bobs. But aye, Easter's kind of grinding to a halt in my house now. It's all the same.
Well, at least it's doing that in the right way, as opposed to, I was wondering what your stance was in folk actually getting gifts at Easter.
I don't support that.
Out of order. I remember when I was, and I think it's more common, well, certainly more common now, but I remember when I was in 3rd year, one of the boys got a PS3 for his Easter.
For his Easter?
Big John Kane got a PS3 for his
Well
Easter.
done, John.
And
good hustle, son.
Right, and that was when the PS3 was new.
Aye.
And I'm like, for your Easter, man.
Aye, each to their own.
No, man, that's appalling.
Let's go to the forums. Alibaba, why are we so poor away from home? Can't be down to the playing surface, has to be a mentality thing.
I agree with Alibaba, which are doing many things, but I think that it's got to be. And again, the big difference is it's the pitch, and I don't want to sit and do that, but we're not doing ourselves any favours. Try to distance ourselves for...
No, too obvious a link now. Killie Nice says, top things you can do in 13 seconds. It's a family show. Can either or both of you complete the 100 metres in 13 seconds?
I would say
definitely not.
No
For a good couple of decades. I went out and done a 5k the other day for Dornsy's scorecard. 36 bloody minutes, Callum.
But you done it?
I done it, and I could have pushed myself a wee bit, but I thought...
in continuous running and that continuous pace.
So a definite no for me for the 13 second 100 metres.
Wait and see what it's like once the knees fully healed.
Correct. Down a pint of lager.
I would say so.
Confident about that.
I would say so.
Complete a Rubik's Cube.
No, I don't know. I've never completed one anyway.
Nor have I. But my son, who's currently drinking Sagres in Portugal, according to the family group chat, not only could he do a Rubik's Cube in about 8 seconds at one point.
Could he?
Aye, he could do it with his feet.
No way.
I'm telling you, man.
What?
During lockdown, he just get hyper focused on it. Aye.
No way.
Could do a Rubik's Cube with his feet and could do it. He had a wee machine. He went. Could do it in about 8-9 seconds. Incredible. I know. I'm serious.
We need to get him on here.
Yeah, I'm on the pod to talk about it. Make and fly a decent paper aeroplane. I can't do it. Give me 100 seconds. I can't do it.
Any kind of practical. Don't ask me.
Not the guys. And drive from 0 to 60 mile an hour. 60 mile an hour tops.
Aye, the cut. Not in my wee Corsa, man.
Nah.
Sometimes I can.
Maybe in the Suzuki. Let's just get up to it.
Certainly, funny because I've been driving. I've got a wee work van that's an automatic.
Right.
And it's electric as well, but it's just mental how quicker it is. And you just pull away for something that you think would be that. Certain roads I know well, I can get up to 60, no bother, but a wee bit. Certainly through the cobbled streets of Edinburgh, no chance.
No. Right, Taggy gets in touch and says, what do you think is the secret to not letting a bad result get to you? As I've gotten older, I've tried to make a conscious effort not to let a negative result ruin my day, and it's been easier since I've become a father and I've had other ways to focus my attention. I've said it before, but there's generally no better way for me to exercise the demons than listening to this podcast. Thank you, mate. I'm forever and ever grateful for the levity you both bring during dark hours. What a sweet thing to say, man. Happy Easter.
What a hero, man.
Also, which way do you store your ironing board when not using it? I also do metal iron at the so the stand bit at the bottom where the iron goes. As in my mind, it's the heaviest part, but my wife has me gaslit into storing it the other way.
Aye, so when you fold it,
surfboard bit down,
aye,
and ironing board bit up. I think we do that too.
Wait, what do you mean here? Sorry.
So he stores it. His way of storing it used to be the bit where you put the iron down, point a bit up.
Nah.
And now he's saying his wife's made him point a bit down.
Keep the iron at the top and the aye.
And so point a bit down. I think you're pointing a bit down now.
Aye, without that.
Interesting. How do you make yourself feel better after a bad result?
I go through phases, man. I don't know. This has kind of helped as well. Very therapeutic to be able to go and talk about it.
Aye, agreed.
The worst I've ever taken anything was during lockdown. No doubt about that.
Aye.
Like, again, me and my dad had a horrific weekly cycle, where it would be a case you would think, right, we're going to do it, turn everything around, and I had the perfect draft pint machine in the house.
That's right, aye.
I'd have all that ready. Dad would come down during lockdown, because he was in my extended household, of course.
Aye.
Have a few pints, and then I would just flip out about the Killie games, man. As I've said before, because I think it's so much worse watching it than it is.
You had no way of expressing it.
No way to influence the game whatsoever. And I was kicking coffee tables about my living room and all that.
Aye.
It's horrific. And then me and my dad would end up kind of not having a thought, because he doesn't even really say much, to be honest. But I'd just be seething.
Aye.
And then he'd be like, doctor, right, I'm away out the road. But right, see you later. Right, see you again.
I took the Hearts one badly in October, man.
Well, you and I both, but you especially.
I took that. I checked out for a few weeks actually after that. I found it really tough because I was like, I just done it really badly. That's why I needed that one a couple of weeks ago. But I used to take it a lot worse than I take it. Melanie will disagree. She says I can be quite huffy, but no is bad.
I think as well, a difference being even in Saturday, I would have taken that so much worse if I was in the way end.
Aye, right, okay.
Mine was worse. I'd be fuming. But I still think I've been fairly nice. It's not like I'm guarding that, but just mean when you're there and you're like, oh, well, that's it. Like, and again, I'm not really influenced to them doing about me either.
Aye, I suppose you've got that wee bit of space. So.
Say like that. But I was obviously fuming. I want to go and see Killie win, but you're just kind of put your misery and you're sitting watching the game with a lot of folk that don't really give a fuck about Killie. But I think that's kind of helped. But I would have been, if I'd went a big day out and you're buzzing for that, the big build up to then concede a goal after 13 seconds, I would have been seething.
The Killie Hippo friend at Pod gets in touch. Number one, I hate the badge they use in some of our shirts. It looks like a Primary 1 competition winner. What's your thoughts?
Great, I want the squirrels at all costs.
Got to be the Squirrels. Squirrels are a big loss, mate. I think that's fair. And what's the second best Scottish football podcast?
It's a good question. Well, now the Killie View is no longer. We
that used to be the second best.
We can't do that. It's weird. I get through phases. Open goals, know what it was.
No, it's had its day. Probably like this.
I don't know. I'm still clinging on, man. Still dip in and out at the odd time. If we get a decent guest on. I listen to the BBC.
So
Scottish football
mine.
podcast.
I know that's maybe no trendy, but 28 minutes. Short and sharp. Sometimes if it's specific guests, I'm a bit like, or sometimes specific hosts, I'm a bit like, oh god. But if it's the right guest and the right host,
I need to get David Wren will know exactly who we're referring to.
Aye.
David, of course, former sports editor of the Standard, big Rangers fan, but listens to us every week. But he'll know exactly who we're talking about.
there's a couple.
Well, there is a couple.
I'm no a lover. Quite enjoyed it. It was Andy Halliday, Scott Allen, and female host on Friday, I think, and it was good.
Right.
I thought she was really good.
Aye.
So but that'd be mine.
I'm a big advocate of Andy Halliday and Scott Allen.
Aye, both good.
Both are very good. That's I'd like to be in a conversation with him.
Aye, right, we can make it happen.
But other than that, I've never been a fan of Clyde Super Scoreboard.
Nah,
I think it's so Glasgow centric anyway. But I just don't believe it.
Aye.
I'm not necessarily hammering the folk that
audio clickbait.
That's exactly what it is, and it always has been. I don't feel like, but again, that have these like Kim Rangers or Celtic, you'd be, can't wait tune on the Super Scoop. I'm like, I just don't buy it. I'm like, you're either taking advantage of folk that are like probably mentally unwell, that are phoning up and exposing themselves, or just get somebody that's ratting the piss and kidding on to be one or the other. Anyway, and I'm like, I don't buy that. This is real talk, mate.
Aye. Alright.
We should start doing phone-ins.
What can it's stupid? Let that happen, you know.
Well,
we have the technology.
Actually, again, I think that next season we should maybe do it once a month.
I think so.
Just a wee call, right, and then bring like that, and then for your phone caller.
Don't know. Feel like we've got exposing ourselves there.
But then see how quick. You would be fine. You're very. You think very quick on your feet.
And I would need to.
At times I don't, and but no, I think that would be quite a good.
Okay.
They do phone and abuse us, mate.
Well, I don't know. Commander 1997. Is it time to drop Kellerus? Don't think he's covered himself in glory for the goals. Not entirely his fault, but felt he made Hibs players' mind up. I don't blame him for the goals, but I think we've got a better goalkeeper. I would drop him. Yes.
Feels fair.
Happy. Killie Allen, no question, guys. Just a message to say thanks everyone who sent me condolences after the sad passing of my mother. I will be back soon with the final gripes of the season. Okay, Al, mate. It'll be good to hear from you, man. And again, our sincere condolences. You've been a big supporter, man. I'm sorry. It's been a really tough time for you, bud.
Absolute legend, man.
Barbino says, I may be peering at this through negatively tinted Blue National Health scalpers, but it seems to be a uniquely Killie trait to make things hard for ourselves, whether it be losing an early goal, conceding within 5 minutes of scoring. What is the answer? Better football players, really good start.
The answers are not in the building.
No, the answer's only in the building, and it's hard not to. Yeah, because you can only frame it through your own experience. I'm sure other teams think that too.
Agreed, but there isn't. We must have like the worst away record in Scotland, like over the course.
Over the last 50 games, it must be.
Definitely
must be.
Again, that's something that's worth looking into. So, and that's the huge concern. It's always the same when folk are like, MD needs a result to get it against us. But the biggest disappointment for me this season, along with the away form, which is to be expected, is our lack of taking any points off both Rangers and Celtic.
I know. We thought it was only us in Aberdeen that haven't it.
That haven't.
Which tells you everything you need to know. But there's some really good stuff. It's Killie Data or Killie Data.
Very good.
Loads and loads of get that info and that type of thing on X, if you can bear it. Scouser says, whilst it was good to hear Neil McCann post-match acknowledge and apologise to the Killie away supporter who sold out again, for those of us who do travel away, the experience is getting a bit like being a punch-drunk boxer who keeps entering tournaments saying today's going to be different, only to end up getting another battering. I met David Hanna pre-match.
Oh yeah, you thought that this is brilliant.
Who was on sparkling form as ever and talking about his travels over the course of the season. So he's somebody that would know perfectly well how that feels.
What did you asked him though?
What did I say?
Did you not say Argent with it? And he was just like, no chance, mate.
He frames it in such a positive way. He's liberated for hope. It's good, man. Great to see him. Anyway, with the Jenky McCann's post-match, you'd have been there.
I was there. I was actually surprised with how calm he was.
Right.
And that was because I asked Stanger about a nod to the fans and all the rest of it. But it's funny even seeing that and the difference, and again to give folk a bit of idea of how it is in the room. I suppose I need probably a bit more belief myself and letting ego go aside, but the Killie fans will care because they know that we're there. Like, so like, they want to hear for us, but it's funny seeing the difference. So like when Stanger came in, there was only one other guy went up. Everybody else just stayed at their laptops and typing. Sam would chase my tail to go up and then asked him. And then when these guys start, you find it hard to kind of butt in and all that, but sometimes you've just got to do that. It's just like around. So I came in at the end and obviously asked a couple of questions to Stanger. But when McCann came, like everybody was up and then you're squeezed out the picture almost. But my thing was always got to be like an acknowledgement to the fans, given the sell it away crowd, but McCann acknowledged that himself beforehand, and again there was like maybe 8 or 9 folk around trying to get the audio, but there was like 2 folk that asked questions. But it's just quite an interesting when you actually see it yourself, whereas, and again to give folk the incline should maybe be able to work it out anyway, but when you watch the pre-match presser, there's very little broadcasting. That's why it's Scott that takes the lead with that all the time and who does a very, very good job at it and getting an angle at it. And then there's usually only like 3 A's for the paper, and then that'll be a separate chat, but it's no like you just pick up your own audio. It's not a case it's filmed or anything like that. So folk always wonder why they don't hear me before the game. That's why. But they because it's split presser, whereas post match everybody's just in the one.
There you go. Right, Dillinger, friend at Pod, says, following on from Hippo's question, I'd be interested to know what other podcasts you listen to. My recommendations are The Worst Idea of All Time. 2 comedians watch the same film every week for 52 weeks. In the first series, they do Grown Ups too. 2 Promoters, 1 Pod, my mate's podcast about the music industry. And the Always Sunny Pod, if you like the show, the podcast is essential. So favourite other podcasts?
Oh, we could go on for a while here. I'm big on the Theo Von podcast.
I appreciate the clips you sent me. Very funny.
Very, very, very funny. Hilarious, actually. So I like Theo Von. For something else to kind of break it up the odd time, along with, and I know he's not his cup of tea, but I like Joe Rogan. I genuinely do. Don't agree with any. Don't agree with everything he says whatsoever, but still think there's a lot of good content out there. A very good podcast host. And then I like the rest is politics, the rest is history. I don't listen to the rest is football or any of that. In Planet Holyrood and Holyrood Sources.
Alright.
How about you?
I like the rest is politics. I maybe overdone it slightly, so I'm kind of peering back a wee bit. The rest is politics US. I also like
times. So like, the news is a great time to listen to it, but everything that's going on. But
I like the Snooker Scene podcast.
It's just one guy, does it?
It's just Dave Hendon. It's the commentator. Just reads the emails and talks about what's been going on. I like that. Soothing to listen to. I like the Troubles podcast. So about Northern Ireland, and I like Solid Monster Sounds Off for my wrestling facts. There you go.
What's the other big wrestling? Well, there's about a million wrestling podcasts, but there's one that always
used to be What Happened, Something to Wrestle, and that was Conrad Thompson and Bruce Pritchard, but I've checked out of that.
So a podcast that is now banned, and it's called the Adam Friedland Show instead, which was very funny.
Right.
But
Rab Pritz gets in touch. If we end up in the playoff, who do you want to play or avoid? I'm nervous about Dunfermline.
Don't mind Dunfermline.
No.
Lenny, mate.
Lenny will get them up for it.
I think Lenny's where we should have went in the summer.
Aye. So I don't know. It will probably be either a Broth, Dunfermline or Partick. So
I would. Out of the 3 of them, I would generally take Partick.
Aye.
Out of all 3.
Aye.
Broth, I just don't fancy go to Gayfield.
No.
And they probably always won. Dunfermline, I just think that Lennon is very good at like big games and gets the results. You don't want that. Whereas side by side in a title race, I'd fancy our chances more against them than I would. And I know it's not a one-off game, but you know what I'm saying. So aye.
Confidemus 1869, disappointing opening to Saturday. Thought we were okay. Could even say we dominated, just not clinical enough. But going 2 goals down in 12 minutes, unacceptable. But shout out to the great away support. I'm worried that our away form will stop us from getting 10th through the playoffs for a certainty. If it happens, who do we want? Just answer that, mate. Cheers. And Kerr says, when do we launch the season tickets? Will there be any innovative pricing this year? Realise we don't know what league we're in, but they were launched April 11th last year.
I think that'll be due out very soon.
Very shortly. Right, okay, let me bounce across to our other wee platform.
My message, congrats in order for Mikey Boy as well.
Of course, man. Aye, happy days, mate. Well done. The Christmas list just got longer, brother. Extra shifts for you. Right, Salopian Killie, KFC View, concerning numbers away from home since 2019. Players and managers come and go, but wherein lies the problem? So again, all the away day numbers, I mean, it's 20% wins away from home. Like our 125 games, it's absolutely bonkers, and all that information's there, and we've discussed how bad it is. Captain Conker, the gorgeous mutated squirrel, says, with this Saturday being bring a friend, if you had to bring a friend along for their first Killie game, what section would you buy their ticket for?
It's a good question, that. I don't like that question.
Aye.
But what you would think, again, it depends who you would be trying to entice. You know what I mean? So like, I was actually trying to get Amelia along to the football at some point. Carrie isn't into football. Kieran obviously has a good soft spot for Killie now, but thinking like she would probably like the Moffat stand with everything going on there and the kind of carnival atmosphere, and you can go out and play and all that, or whether they just get dragged up like the way that we did and sit in the stand in the freezing cold in December. So I suppose it depends who you're trying to get there, but I'd probably just take them into the Frank Beattie, a bit of leg room, and but then there's not much to do at half time.
No, again, you're right. Depends if it's a young person in the Muffet Stone, and then if you're trying to bring somebody back in, I'd probably go to Frank Beattie now because that's where I sit.
But even if you're having a few pints, I enjoy being in the stand and being able to just go downstairs and kind of walk about.
Aye.
Whereas Frank Beattie, you're very restricted to your own area.
Different drinks for different needs. Lee gets in touch. Another crapper for everyone who went up to the game at the weekend, but hopefully a big crowd this Saturday with the season ticket deal and drag the Dark Blues back into the fight. Fair enough, mate. Sean McAngus says, feeling a bit down after Saturday we go again. Who would be your dream current and past player to interview in the podcast?
Eremenko, we've said before, innit?
Be very good.
And Chris Boyd.
Boydie.
But a lot to talk about, man.
Aye, they'd both be cracking, mate.
Current players, though.
Current players who I think would be interesting to talk to. Tish maybe would be good with the Steve Clark era stuff.
Be good.
Who else would be decent? John Jules had an interesting career in life. Watkins, another one.
Aye, Marley would come across well.
Seen a bit of action. Rory, obviously.
Aye, I'd love to have Rory on as well. We'd have any of them, to be honest, mate.
Very welcome any time, lads.
Of course, we forgot to mention who we need to get a picture.
We're getting a big Joe Wright doll there, I think, man.
That thing that you made, remember, like the kind of
aye. Now, the real boy that gets in touch, hello mate, don't even want to talk about the Fitba, guys. With Ocean's 11 kitchen reopening, what's your favourite item for the Ocean's menu? And also I'd like to plug my mate, a local musician, David Mackay, who's been releasing new songs on Spotify. Acoustic folk sort of vibe, new single Cold as a Cracker. Go and listen to David Mackay, I'll do that. David Mackay, sorry. Ocean's, you're somewhere you'd go for something to eat?
Back in the day,
Aye.
Zero customisations can be made in the Ocean's kitchen, according to Joke.
Alright.
And that's always been the case. So like, if you ordered after that menu, you weren't able to change anything.
Can I get that, but just need cheese on it, mate? No, you're getting cheese.
Aye.
Right.
So that's that. So it was funny, we taking the obviously the Irish boys, getting the Irish Supporters Club over to Oceans, and they couldn't believe these, I think they're called hobos or whatever.
That's what he said, aye. He likes the good old steak hobo.
And then he's like Derek and Kevin just couldn't get their heads in it. I thought it was the best thing ever. So with that, but I was a fan of the burgers, man. The good fellow burgers and all that.
Plenty of eating in them. My favourite for the menu is a big pint of red stripe, man. May it rest in peace. Don't can't get it anymore.
But do they not sell it?
Red stripe? Oh no.
Is it not a thing?
Oh, that's why Oceans is teetering, I think. Joke
drink it all, man.
Tooth and nail, man, and they replaced it with Menabrea.
And as we've said before, I think Menabrea's actually a shite pint.
Overrated. Right, Greg Jameson gets in touch to say Killie Mandela effects have been mentioned on the Patreon. Are there any more you can think of? Mine is everyone seems to remember Lekovic wearing black and yellow checks in the 97 final, but actually it was plain yellow with black sleeves. That's true. Just a yellow strip with black sleeves, but in your head you go straight. You could almost see him on the park with the checks, but he wasn't wearing
That's
that.
Amazing, isn't it? Mandela effects are a brilliant shout for a Patreon.
Aye.
One of which being it was debunked anyway by you last week, but about the Ian Durant cap fiasco.
Aye, the Rangers.
Questioning and all. No, I had like 17 caps for Rangers and 3 for Killie.
Oh, there you go.
I think it's I'm actually getting mixed up, and it was Tommy McLean get more caps at Kilmarnock than they did for Rangers.
Right, okay.
But I'm sure I've heard that Durant thing before, but it's just factually incorrect.
Aye. No, the Mandela. I've got a Mandela effect. I saw the new Killie strip in '97 for the new season after we won the cup, and it was not the strip that appeared. It wasn't the sports division one. It was a blue and white. It was blue and white stripes, right? Sports division, but it had Dunfermline had a similar template, and it had like the kind of Lecoq Sportif down the stripe, just in a triangle. And I'm so sure I saw it, but obviously didn't, because then the strip came out and I went, that is the strip I saw.
It's bizarre.
So there you go. Very strange. Dalen gets in touch and says, nothing really to add to what happened on Saturday, just need to focus on Dundee. Fair enough. I do have a question. As we've now entered WrestleMania month, who would you choose to accompany you to the ring? Someone you could rely on to intervene if necessary. My guest, Cal, says Lita. Who would you have can bring you down to the ring?
My first love, man. Trish Stratus for me, man.
Trish Stratus, aye.
And she would definitely want to walk me to the ring. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
No, but then you're talking about somebody else in your corner, and again we need to reference the KWA here and Stevie Smith and Paul Mulligan.
Yep.
With that universe they created.
That's right, on the WWE game.
And they had like Dad as like my father as a Vince McMahon type character. Used to wear a cowboy hat and all that. Just funny as anything. But aye, any diva.
Any diva will do. Aye.
What about you?
Bret Hitman Hart.
Aye, but you're not got to be your. It's got to be realistic, mate.
Trish Stratus was the time. Bret Hitman Hart, isn't he?
But I mean, somebody that like you're remember supposed to be the star, so it's always been.
Yeah, but I'm thinking latter day Bret, who can't take bumps.
Right,
so like Bret, like if I was going to fight WrestleMania for the title, and I was like, I'm bringing somebody with me, somebody that will inspire, but then I would bring Bret out, and I think that would get the people going.
Like you just make it all about himself and still carry that.
Do not take Bret Hart's name in vain. I'd really slag Joe Wright. That's how strongly I feel about that.
Nah, he's a big baby, man, and he needs to get over it.
Nah, man.
Definitely needs to go.
The heartache that man's had to go through in his life.
What's that? He's cheating in his missus, man.
Right, we're talking half here, man. Paul McGrath says, where are the Eremenkos of yesteryear?
They don't exist.
They're all playing with clubs that can afford them.
But
Paolo.
I think it's did we cover it? Was it in the Patreon last week or no? Just to be like, I was just talking to somebody off here. Like, those times are like, with the instant news and everything available, like, stuff like that just doesn't happen anymore. The contact list just isn't a thing. Like, everything's all stats and data driven all across the board. Like, again, we should have never been able to sign like that would never happen now. Or if it was, it would be a lot bigger news at the time. Folks were still like, how we got this guy? But when you break it back and you see the amount of caps he had with Finland, and 5 year before he was top goal scorer in their World Cup qualifying group or whatever, you're just like, it just doesn't happen, man. The game's gone.
Game's changed, Paul. Andy T, the Cal record, says, I missed the first half. What I saw in the second half was the better side. Anyway, what do you make of the drama up at the Johnny Walker estate running about Easter eggs? I don't know anything about it. I've totally missed it.
So I think there has been, and it's funny because Carrie lives in there, but she's away in Tenerife now. So I think that they had some kind of Easter fair,
right?
But they gave wristbands to all the kids that were from the estate. Therefore, all the pesky scumbags across the road in their side of the Commerce Road were nearly done. No, I think that there's more context to that though. I think it was a case of, I think there's been a few wee run-ins like this.
Alright.
But whether it's a case of like, all these parents have like put it on out their own, like, and I think it was all for like Easter egg donations. I don't know. I'm talking about something that I don't know the answers to, which isn't anything groundbreaking, to be honest, right?
That's what you've come to expect forever and ever.
But I think that there is, reading between the lines, I think there's something like that. I've not even actually spoken to Carrie about it. She'd be happy she's missed all the drama. But I think there's been a few kind of problems there where they're trying to distance themselves with the rest of the North of Kilmarnock.
Ah, see, okay, right. Well, I maybe need to intervene then, being for the North myself.
Exactly.
The North remembers.
The North does remember.
Right, okay, I'll maybe get involved there. I'll find out, Andy, and I'll get it sorted. Mark Robertson says our horrendous away form is like an anchor forever dragging us crashing back down each and every away game. Groundhog Day experience. Changing that narrative in 3 away games is going to prove vital. So right, mate, that's it. Simple as that. We're going to need to change years and years of bad form in order to get out of that 11th position.
That's it. It's not like a phase now.
No.
It's who we are. We can't play away from home.
We've got to do it. The short lease Salmon Chucker gets in touch. I'm fully expecting to see better defending in the German 5th tier this week. Guys who are playing for a hot dog and a handshake. How can a team be totally switched off from the first kick of the ball like that? Not once, but twice. It better not be thrice.
So disappointing.
As I said, I think that can happen in football. Like, if you kick off, it doesn't happen often. And discussions at the quickest goal we've ever lost.
I think it must be. Yeah.
But it was they didn't recover. The game was gone before they recovered.
Aye.
You've got to make that happen quicker and settle down at 1-0 and you've got a chance, but it goes to 2-0 when it could have been 3. And actually, that was my big gripe.
I think you must be like, Neil McCann must have been fuming, man, like, as well. Like, we were thinking everything that you worked on all week, and don't get me wrong, that could have been part of the reasons why we'd conceded as early, but like, you're thinking that can happen to MD, but to be 2-0 down in that period, you're just like, doesn't it like that? It's up to the players the minute they step on the park, to be honest.
And they're no doing it defensively. Scott Garrick says, do you think that every player who has been in the squad since we were promoted has to leave this summer due to a mental block we have with away games? I think it goes further back than that, man. Also, do you think the move back to grass will help our away form? I would assume the only time our team play football together in grass is when it's away games. So Saturday would be the first time we've touched grass as a team since the 28th February at Falkirk. PS, should the manager be trying to arrange training sessions on grass? Get the lads down to Dean Park or something. I'm not even being funny, it's a serious suggestion.
It's always a interesting one because there's no doubt that other teams will train on Astro to combat us. And
Aye.
don't get me wrong, all surfaces are different despite be either hybrid Astro or 100% grass. Like, it doesn't necessarily translate to that's what you'll be playing on at the weekend, but I think you've got to give yourself the best chance and probably mix it up, and that's what we've got to hope that the training ground being built will give us that luxury.
And Darren Steele finally says, will we win any of our 3 remaining away games? How many points will it take to avoid 11th? So I think we're on 27 now. I think we'll need 10 points, which means we're going to need to either win our 3 home games and pick up a point away from home, or something like that. So I think we'll need about 30. I think we'll need 30. 37, 36, something like that.
10 points.
Aye, something like that.
But I don't think we'll win an away game.
No, it's hard to see if we will, man. Right, okay, thank you everybody as always for all your questions and all your interest in the podcast. We really, really appreciate it. It's been quite the journey so far. We've had 185,000 unique downloads. Looked at that today.
Did you?
No, just this season. That's just on streaming platforms, and about 140,000 on YouTube where we channels with that many views.
Serious?
Aye, it's crazy, isn't it? 140,000.
Pretty good, aye.
Nice, man. So thank you everybody
The
for your
rest of
support.
millions on, man.
The rest of a million is on. Will we get there before I retire this time next year?
Nah, you've an earned year out.
No, that next year is my other year.
Nah.
That's me. Getting fed up watching Killie, man. He goes or I go.
Another.
No offence to the big goalie, man. He's not the worst, but Jesus.
Per Keller, man.
Aye, right, anyway, all roads lead to Killie. We'll do that. We're donating some cash to the food bags. I met Robert in Edinburgh Waverley as well.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was good to chat
Such
to
a
him.
nice guy.
And Aaron, his son, who I keep pestering on TikTok. Well, no anymore because I've fell away from the TikTok already.
I've sent you a bank of videos to go up there.
I know, mate. I need to get my finger out. Right, we're ready.
Right. Player number 1, AFC Wimbledon, Kingstonian on loan, Welling United on loan, Maidstone United on loan, Inverness, Hamilton, some team in, I think, Bulgaria, Kilmarnock, and then Woking, Inverness, Morton and Ayr.
Oh, it's George Oakley, your favourite central striker.
The best lone striker performance one has ever seen.
The Oak, not the Oak. Davy Alexander, who's the actual Oak.
Aye, the big oak.
The real Oak that we all care about. But aye, George Oakley, okay.
Player number 2, Wraith Rovers, Kilmarnock, Inverness, St Mirren, Partick Thistle, Dumbarton, Dunfermline, Berwick Rangers.
Targo.
Yes, correct.
D-A-R-G-O. Well, that. D-A-R-G-O.
I'm sure he scored a really quick goal once.
Aye.
Against Inverness when I had my season ticket in the first year. Circa 40 odd seconds, but I could be wrong.
Good guy, good player. Somebody would be good to get on the pod.
It would be. Really would be. And player number 3, if we're going for a clean sweep, I think this is a tough one.
Okay. Try me.
Queen's Park, East Stirlingshire, Partick Thistle, Kilmarnock, Airdrie, St Johnstone, Partick, Dunfermline, Morton, Airdrie.
Bit of rattling about. What's the first 2?
Queen's Park, East Stirling, Thistle, and then Kilmarnock.
2004, 5.
Just before.
Martin Hardy.
Well done.
Yes.
Well
big mad mental Martin Hardy.
I really liked him as well.
Aye, he was a good, big, tough kind of central midfielder, wasn't he?
Scored
a few goals.
He scored against Rangers, did he? In the game where you famously get a season ticket taken off you.
He just comes back to that, doesn't it?
Martin Hardy.
He was a big, tough, kind of... I didn't mess with him. Anyway. Solid as a rock. Right, okay, mate. As again, we'll say it one more time. Get a friend or a foe or a neighbour or your high school crush along to the game on Saturday. We need to fill the stands and do our bit as we always have. But that's a real opportunity there to make it quite an intimidating atmosphere potentially for Dundee, because we need all the help we can get.
Huge.
Thank you for your company.
Thank you.
Thanks to Stu at Limelight Studios. Thank you to yourself for listening and watching, and we'll be back next Monday to review hopefully a much needed 3 points at home to Dundee.
Remember to like and subscribe.
Yes, if you must. Right, thanks very much everybody. See you later. Happy Easter.